What's up, everybody? This is Excuse My Confidence. My name is Brianna Talbert. I'll be your host for this afternoon. We're going to be talking about a lot of things today, but primarily we're going to be talking about self-care. Self-care is a topic that has been buzzing for so long. Honestly, it's kind of become a fad or a trend to talk about self-care, and I just feel like a lot of people don't really know what self-care means. But before we get into all of that, right now I am dealing with the weirdest situation. I have this person in my life, and it's a person who, ironically, I never had much interest in, but they always seem to come back into my life at this, like, the weirdest times. Honestly, when I'm usually doing the best, like when I'm feeling the best or when I'm starting to gain some confidence or success, that's when this person just like pops up. And it's been kind of challenging. I'm not going to lie. It's been kind of challenging to sort of set that boundary and not want to invite them into like this new part of my life. But I'm trying to remain true to the fact that this person did not want anything to do with me when I wasn't doing that great. So it's one of those situations where, hey, if you can't handle me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. And I just felt like sharing that little bit with you guys today because it sort of ties into self-care. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. Like, I love. I love relationships. I am a hopeless romantic. Growing up, I was always watching my grandmother's, like, Young and the Restless, like, oh, so dramatic. Oh my goodness. Just drama in general. I've always been like really into it, I guess. Not drama, but like the theatrics. And it's been something that I've honestly been so insecure about for so long because I tend to befriend people who are just like really not into it because I'm not into it. Like, on a friendship capacity, I'm not the type of person to be super affectionate or super like soft. I'm one of those people that on the surface level I can be kind of off-putting at times, but in a relationship I'm super soft. I'm like a little baby, and it's honestly been one of the funniest things to navigate that and to learn that about myself over the past year. I'm a little bit of a sap, which is funny because that's not what I brand myself to be. But being in a relationship over the past few years, I've sort of just learned how to function in a relationship. So now when I enter like being single and, having that hot girl summer vibe, whatever, it's been interesting. It's been interesting to love so much, but like not want to engage in a relationship like that. And I'll tell you why it's been so interesting for me, because I get to love but for myself and like do all these things for me that I would expect somebody else to do. Take myself out to dinner, take myself to get my nails done, like these little words of affirmation that, you like to hear, you practice them every morning. Being in a habit of self-care or like self-love is such an interesting experience for someone who likes to be in love. Because I've always assumed that love needs two people. It needs, two parts to work. But over the past few months, I've taken a lot of time to work on myself and to sort of dive deep into what I felt was fundamentally wrong with me. Because I got out of a really toxic relationship, and I'll share that with you one day. But toxic relationships have a way of bringing about a very honest journey to your authentic self. You know, when you really start to wonder what's wrong with me, you find this confidence in yourself after some time that asserts that there's nothing wrong with you, and that it really is just the person that you chose, or the person that you thought that you wanted to be with didn't see the value that you see in yourself. And it's heartbreaking, but there's still hope. There's still hope because I know in my heart of hearts that me loving myself and taking care of myself is going to invite the person that can also do the same, right? How can you possibly demand somebody to love you or to take care of you if you don't know how to take care of yourself? Someone is not going to just pop up out of nowhere, right? And know the perfect recipe on how to take care of you or how to love you. Unfortunately, we have to go through that process ourselves, and sort of take time to teach someone how to love us, and whether or not they care about us is whether or not they take the time to learn it, right? But I've come into a lot of contact with a lot of people who haven't taken the time to learn how I need to be loved, and what the demands or what the needs are. And I guess I started to wonder, okay, am I communicating this that poorly? And in reality, I know that's not the truth, because I know that I'm a strong communicator. I know I'm a very emotional communicator, and how I feel is constantly on display for everyone. So I knew it couldn't have been that. Fundamentally, that doesn't make any sense, right? But upon a lot of reflection and a lot of spiritual growth, I've started to realize the reason why it wasn't so well communicated was because it wasn't well refined. There wasn't the details on how to love me weren't clear to me. So how could I possibly make them clear to someone else? It's the same thing when you're doing a presentation in school or for work, and they say, if you just know the content back and forth, if you know your presentation and your topic, you're not going to screw up because you know how to fly off the cuff. You can't possibly present to someone else, hey, this is how to love me, if you don't even know how to love you, right? So I've taken a lot of time in the past few months to really dig deep into that. And part of how I've done that has been sort of unconventional for some people, because some people really prefer their solitude, but I don't. I like my solitude, but I like having a person. So I've found friends and family to sort of lean in and lean on. But it's not really the same, It's friends and family, it lacks the intimacy that you would get out of a relationship. But I have enjoyed asking their perspective of the relationships or the dates that I've been on. I enjoy that outside objective perspective because, just like a rom-com, what's happening next as an objective viewer, but as the person in the movie, they don't. So I have sort of taken this summer to just go on dates, but also be dating myself or taking myself out. And it's been difficult, but I found a confidence in myself and in my solitude that has it's unmatched. So now I know that when I meet a person or potentially meet a person, it has to match this energy or be better. And the main thing that I took away from all of that was, if I can't fully take care of myself and all the aspects of taking care of myself while being with this person, then it's probably going to drain me. If I have to sacrifice any part of self-care to be with this person, then it's probably going to drain me or take away from me. And in the best of circumstances, I've been able to be with some people who really have been able to engage in self-care with me. So that's not taking care of each other, but it's sort of co-opting self-care together. And that's been a very interesting experience. But I'll tell you why, because you're both pouring into your individualistic selves, but together. So you both get to witness the growth. You both get to witness the change and what it meant to you. Have a conversation, communicate with each other, right? That's the ideal situation for me. I've not done that a whole lot with many people. But when I have, it's been meaningful and it's been powerful. The biggest next thing is finding the consistency to love yourself and take care of yourself, but also finding a partner who can love you and take care of you consistently. Once you see how much work it is to take care of yourself and love yourself consistently, you then can sort of be compassionate and empathetic to the partner who is going to love you and take care of you. You can see your flaws and you can see the challenges in that. I once met someone who said, my biggest pet peeve is when I want to take care of my girlfriend more than she wants to take care of herself. And that still resonates with me today, because genuinely I think that we're waiting on a partner to just come in and take care of us. But you don't want to just trade off, okay, I'll take care of you, you take care of me, because then that's codependency, right? How is this person really adding to your life if you're not able to take care of yourself first? They're not adding to your life. They've just become your whole life. It fosters codependency, or it, I shouldn't say fosters, but it makes you codependent on that person. Because if you can't take care of yourself, then this person is completely responsible for taking care of you. And when things fall through the cracks, which sometimes they do, they're ultimately responsible, and that's going to start up a big conflict, because you're going to feel neglected. The feeling of neglect that comes about in relationships is such a powerful and disappointing and heartbreaking thing. But I've noticed that a lot of us don't particularly feel the feeling of neglect or the feeling of disappointment in ourselves when we don't take care of ourselves. And I think that's because we haven't really grown to the place of accountability. We expect others to take care of ourselves, so when they don't, we feel neglected. And that's a whole inner child bit, which we will discuss on a later date as well. But I feel like we owe it to ourselves to not be hard on ourselves, but be harder on ourselves about taking care of ourselves. Like, hey, Brianna, I'm really disappointed in you today for not eating well. And that's not to say to become our biggest critic or be harsh on yourself. I'm all for being gentle and allowing yourself the space and time to feel emotions and whatnot. And sometimes that gets in the way of self-care. But hold yourself to the standard that you would hold somebody else to if they were responsible for taking care of you. If you expect somebody else, if you were I'm going to totally go out on a limb here and make an analogy. If you were a baby, what would you want? What would you want someone to do? Probably cook for you, probably clean for you, probably bathe you, brush your teeth, whatever, And just those simple things are already, it's already above the expectations of what you set for yourself. Like, I personally have been in places where it's like, I don't want to get out of bed today. I don't want to get up and exercise. I don't want to shower. I don't want to eat. Like, I've been in those dark places, but I haven't held myself to the expectation of like, no, take care of the body, take care of the mind, take care of the soul. So going into that, I wanted to just talk about what self-care means to me specifically. Self-care to me is a multifaceted term, but it really, to me, means that we're taking care of all the aspects, I say the aspects of ourselves, and not us as a person or us as a body or whatever, like ourselves. We have an emotional self, we have an intellectual self, we have a creative self, and a spiritual self. And all of those aspects of ourself needs rest and it needs care. So what have you done today to be creative? What have you done today to be spiritual? What have you done today to be physical? Sorry, I missed physical. You also have a physical self, yes. What have you done today to be emotional? Have you been vulnerable with yourself? Have you been vulnerable with a friend or with a family member or your partner about your emotions? How have you engaged all the aspects of yourself today? And it's a tough job, but it is the purest way to take care of yourself. So when we look at it that way, then we can really look at, okay, is this partner fulfilling one of my needs, all of my needs, or are they helping me take care of my own needs and all of the things that means to me? When we set it up like a checkbox sort of situation, then we can check off all the boxes every day. Okay, I took care of my spiritual self. I took care of my physical self. I took care of my emotional self, my intellectual self, my creative self. And when those boxes start to go unchecked, it's very clear and very obvious taking inventory of what is missing when someone comes into your life. Okay, so I've neglected my creative self. So something or someone in my life at this current moment is interfering with that. Who's interfering with that? For example, this podcast has to be the most nerve-wracking thing that you could ever imagine. Like putting out your opinions and putting out your but it's a creative process. One that I particularly enjoy. I've always been a very creative person. And I had a friend, or not a friend, but an acquaintance, sort of speak about me and doing the podcast and like making some undertoned comments that I was being fake, or not fake, but like that I was trying to be something that I'm not. And I stopped recording for a few days. And when I was taking that mental inventory check of like, okay, Brianna, you haven't been creative lately. What's going on? And taking inventory of all of those aspects of myself, I was taking care of every aspect of myself except my creative self. And it was because that moment hurt me. It hurt me. And I'm not afraid to say that. It hurt me. It hurt me to hear someone interpret the care for my creative self as being disingenuous or being or lacking authenticity. The reality is that person probably just didn't know that side of me, that creative side of me, or that creative self. And that's okay. That sounds like a them problem, not a me problem, right? Like, I think that is the most successful way to take a good look at, okay, am I meeting all my needs? Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel so low? Okay, take my checklist. Am I taking care of all these aspects of myself today? Oh, this relationship, something just feels off. Okay, has this relationship helped me nurture all these aspects of myself today or over the past few weeks? And then you can really quantify things and establish if they're healthy for you or not. And then we go into, speaking about boundaries and whatnot, and how to assert those boundaries once you've established am I taking care of myself or not? And when the answer is no, then we get into how you can truly advocate for yourself, advocate for your future self. The only way that you are going to become the most successful version of yourself is by investing in the version of you today. And it may be very, very tiring and very draining at times, but it's an investment. Ultimately, it's going to be painful at first. It's like giving $500 to your investment account. It's like, it hurts, but it's worth it. The interest that you get back on that is just, it's amazing. So I am so glad that all of you guys have made it today to excuse my confidence. This has been a wicked episode. Be sure to tune into next week's episode. We're going to be talking about boundaries. The episode's name is Let's Call It Off. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And be sure to check me out on Instagram at BMAM. You can slide in my DMs and ask me questions about your spiritual journey, your success journey, or anything. All of the above is welcome. Thank you guys so much and have a great week.